Canadians in the top 10 after the original program. Michael Slipchuk is 9th. He was 9th at the Olympic Games, and he has a couple of decisions coming up. In the next couple of months, he'll decide whether to continue his amateur career, but there's a more immediate decision whether or not to try a quad. And he told us that he hadn't decided skating out onto the ice.
Well, he said at the Olympics he didn't decide until he was actually out there in his performance. So I'm sure it'll depend on how the first triple axel goes.
He looked a little tense, he looked a little tentative, and as a result, he didn't push that landing through and had to touch down with his one hand.
To make up a few spots.
I think that was a scheduled combination, and in the first jump, the triple toe that he attempted, he was simply over-rotated and in no position to land it, and therefore could not even attempt the second jump of the combination. Frustrating, Barb, when you're out there and it's obvious that Michael is not on top of himself. By that I mean every time he jumps, he's not getting his shoulders, hips to line up over his skating side when he goes to land. And he's had 3 jumps escape him out here this afternoon. Competition, Michael had an absolutely disastrous performance. Now, I wouldn't term this as disastrous, but it certainly wasn't the performance he's looking for. But we've talked a lot about the mental mindset of the competitors coming into this competition. Michael, as we watch him execute this triple Lutz, one of the ones he did manage to execute in the program, he's had a great season up till this point. This triple axel, he never ever gets out of it correctly. He's over-rotated, doesn't break out soon enough, and therefore goes down. But for Michael to have won the Canadian Championship and then put in an outstanding performance at the Olympic Games, he'd already delivered 2 outstanding performances at the international level. For others who have come here and didn't do that, they were still hungry. They still had something to prove, and perhaps because Michael had had such a successful season up to this point, he didn't have the drive that a lot of other people here are having.
The Worlds are so tough simply because of the fact that they're so close to the Olympic Games, and the skaters are really trying to reach their peak at the Olympics, and 3 weeks in between just isn't quite enough to come down and then get back up to put on a great performance only 3 weeks later.
I don't know if you had rinks you just didn't like skating in, but this rink has haunted him this year, and he made the point when he fell on that simple bit of footwork in the original program that he fell in the exact same spot on the ice that he did at Skate America, and I'm sure there were some pieces of ice out there he didn't want to see again. 26 last week, his family here in the crowd. I met him souvenir shopping in Albertville, and he had a list a mile long, and when I asked him if he thought about going to Lillehammer, he said, I'm not sure I could afford another shopping trip like that for souvenirs. He said, if you think skating in the Olympics is pressure, you should have to buy all these souvenirs for people back home. Well, he was 9th and in danger of falling out of the top 10. And there is the first set for Michael Slipchuk.
I overheard him say there to his coach, Jan Allmark, that he just wasn't on. That was, as I mentioned during the performance, he simply was not over top of his skating side through a lot of those jumps.
There the second set of marks. Michael Slipchuk has a 10th place mark and a 12th place mark, so he will definitely tumble out of the top 10. We'll be back with more from the Oakland Coliseum of the '92 Worlds after this.